till I die, Spurs die hard. Tottenham till I die. Tottenham till I die. Tottenham till I die. Spurs die hard. Tottenham till I die. Tottenham till I die, Spurs die hard. Tottenham till I die.
Hello and welcome to the regular Friday edition of Spurs Diehards TTID, Tottenham Till I Die. Tonight, as you can see, we'll talk about the fact that we moved into the relegation zone, and we'll be talking about De Zerbi. We'll be talking about players and transfer rumours with De Zerbi, and then we'll do a preview of Sunderland away, which has become a more critical game now. The results more critical now, more important. Yeah. And without further ado, I'm going to introduce our guest, Steve. Then I'll go through the chat, and then hopefully Alan will join us shortly, or other guests that may turn up that have been given the link. So without further ado, let's get straight into it. Steve, how are you? How's things in Michigan?
Well, currently today, things are an absolute mess outside as it's absolutely pouring down piss rain today. So that is not exactly the greatest, considering yesterday was absolutely gorgeous, but it is what it is, man. It's springtime in the Midwest. But outside of that, man, I'm excited considering that this 3-week international break was an absolute disaster for my beloved red, white, and blue. I also heard that the English dropped a heartbreaker to Japan, and the Irish dropped the ball in the playoff as well too. So I'm glad that the international break is over. I'm glad the extra week is over, and now it is on to Sunderland and what is absolutely a must-win.
Yeah, we'll go through the chat, and then we'll start talking about tonight's result. So, Chris Rearel, I hope I pronounced that right, in the shit relegation. Yes, mate, we are. Well, we're in relegation, but it is in our hands. I mean, even though we've dropped it in the zone. Brian, real-life friend, ex-bricklayer, hi. Hi to Brian, regular friend of the show, and the same to Simon Small, regular friend of the show. Good evening, Simon. And at the moment, it's only must-win Sunderland. El Dante, yeah, it is a must-win. Yeah, there's 4 of you in the chat. We've got 30 of you watching us on various platforms at the moment. All that's going to go up. Most of those in the UK should be out on the beer off. It's Friday night, right? Yeah. So let's talk briefly about this, as much as I don't like talking about rivals. And I wasn't following the game. I was just waiting for the result, simply for the fact that I watched the under-21s on Spurs play win today, 1-0, so with a penalty. So 4-0 sounds like an impressive win. If any of you watched in the chat, let us know if it was. 4-0 sounds impressive, but I haven't listened to any post-match reports. I don't know if players were sent off or whatever. I don't know. Steve, did you follow this game at all?
A little bit. It's hard for me to actually watch either West Ham or Wolves, but that being said, I was paying attention to it throughout the day. But as soon as the Mr. Mavropano scored in the 42nd minute right before halftime, I was like, good God. I was, here's the thing, the 3 words that I thought I never would say in my lifetime, let's go Wolves, was uttered right before Mavropano scored. And so from that standpoint, I was kind of hoping Wolves would, do something to get a result in this one. But I guess credit to West Ham. They blew the doors off of Wolves, and now I think they held a 2-point advantage over us. So in that sense, it is what it is. But that being said, I think what it really did was put the onus on Spurs in this matchup versus Sunderland. Really, not exactly the way to kick off the weekend. With the one team that you need to lose, the one team that we had the opportunity against a couple months back at home. That one team that has started to get some form. Meanwhile, we're chopping and changing coaches. It seems like every 8 weeks now. So, good Lord, man.
Just go through the chat. Evening, Paul. Big up. Yeah, Wolves fan Ryan. Big up, lads. Sorry we can help you out tonight. Pathetic, especially in the second half. Okay. So it looks like you might have been okay in the first half, but just couldn't. Right. All right. You're saying played well for the first 35. Right. Okay.
Sounds like Spurs.
As soon as the second goal went in, we fell to pieces.
Again, sounds like Spurs.
Yeah, we haven't been absolutely battered this season, but I mean, we've put in some crap performances.
That's very true.
Yes, West Ham worthy winners. No one sent off. Okay, thanks for that. I did wonder with a scoreline like that because usually in these dogfight relegation battles, usually someone gets sent off or red carded or whatever. Tom Kingham, look, it's in our hands. We have the point. We've got the game in hand. It's in our hands. If we go down, it'll be because of us. It won't be because of anything else. It'll be our own fault. It won't be because what a West Ham do. It because what we don't do. That's what it'll be.
This right here.
Yeah. Well, me and Steve have blasted on about this, about we should have strengthened in January, even meant bloating the squad, didn't we, Steve? Because this was a big risk taken.
Yeah, and the shambolic, press conference from Johan Lang post January window, where he essentially said there was nobody in the world that could have came in short term to help this team out. It's like, dude, you are 100% tone deaf. Considering that they didn't replace Sonny in the summer, and then they go ahead and trade away Brendan Johnson, and then right after it, immediately right after it, Kudus goes down, which is now probably going to be for the season, and then Wilson Odegaard goes out for the season, and it's like, dude, even if what's funny is there was the conversation about what's his ass, Raheem Sterling, who was available. And it's like, I get it. He's not exactly the type of player that I wanted either. But that being said, to bring him in for the rest of the season, at least he gives you something for the rest of the season that you can plug in on the wings, and maybe it helps, maybe it doesn't. But that being said, at that point in time, right, beggars couldn't be choosers, and this team needed something on this team, and we got absolutely nothing on this team.
Well, on that, I think after the era of last season, with all the injuries to our centre-backs, on these loan deals, we had clauses that we could have called players back. So even Mikey Morris.
Yeah, exactly.
We could have called him back. I mean, he prefers to play on the 10 or inside left role rather than on the wings. But I've seen him play on both wings for the under-21s and for England, right? So, or he's drifted out there anyway, So, again, Langer in there. I mean, your job's on the line already. I mean, whether Vinay's job's on the line in the summer, I don't know. We don't really know who's pulling the strings here, because what we do know for sure is that either Belch or Chariton really put some pressure on Vinay Venkatesham and Johan Langer.
Yeah, but if this team,
because they dithered, and this is not what you want. You want proactive.
Yeah, but here's the thing, though, right? Here's the thing, though, Adrian, right? Like, if this team ultimately gets relegated, both of them have to go at that stage, right? Because both of these guys didn't listen to Fabio Paratici in November, and then in retrospect, they waited too long to make the decision. On top of the fact that Johan Lang did nothing in the January window, and then all of a sudden, ownership has to step in to make the decision to fire Frank. Then they finally, then at that stage, they didn't do a coaching search. They just revisionist history. Oh, okay, cool. Let's go ahead and get Igor Tudor. Well, Igor Tudor couldn't do anything. He couldn't play his style of football because he didn't have the appropriate pieces. Like you mentioned, bringing Mikey Moore back off a loan from Rangers, they probably could have brought back Luka Vuskovic off of loan from Hamburg. And all of a sudden, he actually could play his 3-4-2-1 style because you actually have a 10 in Mikey Moore that's been playing it for Rangers, and you actually have a center back that's been playing in a back three for Hamburg. And so all of a sudden now you actually potentially have pieces that actually can make it work. And maybe things stay the same. Maybe things play a little bit. Maybe they play a little bit differently. But you're giving your coach that you're bringing in at least a chance to win. And what we saw was not that. And Igor Tudor actually had to play three different formations in his first 3 games to find out exactly who can and who can't play. And by by the time the 4th week rolled around, it didn't progress. We saw no progression from this team. And so I think the height of it was what the second Madrid second leg in the Madrid series. In the round of 16, and then Liverpool, like that was it. That was the high water mark. And still, Kudus isn't coming back. And from this stage, it's like, now we have Roberto De Zerbi, and you're still kind of wondering how this thing is going to play out, because again, this still is a team without a winger on it. It's shambolic, to be honest with you. I don't think I've ever seen a football team in this type of disarray.
Yeah, and even with the Mikey Moore situation, right, he's got better as the season progressed. But we picked up injuries in January. I mean, like, if you don't, I was screaming to go and get someone like Mainz Akliouche, off of Monaco, played really well against us in the Europa League, and how they didn't smash us, I didn't know that day. But it's just one of them days we got away with one, and he could have fit in multiple roles. I mean, like they just weren't proactive. I was backing on what he'd done, Langer, all the loans, because I went and looked at all the loans, the players that went out on loans, all that. He shipped a lot of players and but what broke the back for me was not being proactive in January. And looking back, they should have been proactive and got rid of Frank earlier, because Frank was awful. I backed him while he was there. I'll back every manager and player. I'll even back Laughing Gas Basuma while he's at the club. But I don't want him there, right? So, but there's plenty of times we've had a few managers in the past I didn't want. Obviously, players, fans have all got their pet loves and pet hates. There's always been players that I didn't want, but while they're there, you support them, because that's what being a supporter is. Yeah, I mean, I agree. They don't deserve the support we got, because if the worst would happen, we got relegated, that stadium, I'll tell you, prices would have to go down, but the fans will still turn up, because that's what Spurs fans are. The one thing is that they're stoics, mate, and they will turn up if that happens. But they'll want blood. They'll want blood. Like, if that happens, they'll want blood. Pilch,
and I still feel like that they deserve, like, the fans don't deserve a relegation at all, but the club itself definitely deserves that relegation. And if anything, it clears it. ENIC will be forced to clean house. That's the thing. It's like, maybe De Zerbi stays. All right. There's no out in his contract because of relegation. But that being said, it's like, from that standpoint, ENIC will be forced to clean house. And from that standpoint, I think that would be actually a net positive, because it's going to force them to actually hire football people to do football jobs.
Yeah, I think if you're
not going to be saddled. Yeah, we're not going to be saddled with crazy people running this.
Yeah, and the two heads that roll will be Vinay's and Lang's, because they've brought in new staff. They've kept a few of the old coaches, the set piece coach, the goalkeeping coach. I'll say if they've kept blah blah, and because De Zerbi knows. I mean, he may bring in more staff in the summer, depending on our situation, right? But at the moment, as he said in his interview, he's hinted there's only so much I can do with 7 games to go. I can't, put all my philosophy across on these players. It just isn't time. It is a pre-season to do that, So, Pilch killed us out the season. It just gets worse. Well, we didn't have him anyway. And And to me, we'll get into it later, but we've got 20, 21 players to choose from, which is a lot better than a 13 that we've had, and they've got to step up. You know, we're going to see if they can hack the pressure, right? First goal wasn't a corner, but yeah, well, these things happen when you're down there, Ryan. Things go against you. We've had, I remember early in the season, I think Arsenal got a goal from a corner, and it wasn't a corner against us.
I remember that.
Yeah, even in chat tonight, you could see like West Ham looked like me, grown men, and understood the fight. We've got a squad of wimps, ballooners. Fans are not giving up. I think it's a bit harsh. I mean,
Yeah,
I think we've got
I
a
agree.
squad, and we know Richarlison and Denzel will give you a fight. Polina's done a good job, but like, it hasn't helped get us anywhere. I mean, he's got forward and got goals, but he hasn't really got the legs to get about the field left and right to intercept plays and things like that. Good player. I mean, we're going to get into keeping them, whether we'll keep certain players as a squad player, because yeah,
I would say that guys like Richarlison, who have been in a relegation scrap and know exactly what it takes to get out of it, are the type of guys that really over the course of the last 4 weeks, along with Archie Gray, along with Matisse Tell, some of these players, they're actually out there playing incredibly hard to the whistle. Whereas you wonder whether guys like I don't want to accuse it. By the way, I don't want to accuse anybody of tanking on purpose. So yeah.
Good friend of the show, Roger here. Even guys, nothing going for us now. Sunday's last chance. So there's 7 games to go, Roger. It won't be on Sunday's game. One of the odds on YouTube. Got 6 seconds. 6 seconds. We are Spurs TV. It's not Ben and Sim. I'm sure it's not. Right.
That's funny.
Yeah, West Ham's January signing scored a brace. Fine. Neil Iron, Stephen Sharma. I'm not after watching the game tonight. I didn't watch that game. I watched the under 21s.
By the way, the NSYNC reference was Chef's Kiss, by the way.
Oh, I didn't know what it was. I got to be honest.
Drag us in when he lip syncs his lead breakdown. That's funny.
Yeah. I don't see it. I mean, he's one of those on my goodbye list. But let's go through these. What do you mean? Yeah, they were talking about waiting for players to get fit and get back. Yeah, that's not proactive at all. Yes, I absolutely agree. If January was neglect, what we got? What could we have got?
Wasn't Mavropanos a member of Arsenal at one point? I think I heard that.
Second Shelton. All right, thank you. Thank you for your support. Both would have improved us. Yeah, just go through these and we'll get into it. Yeah. Well, it didn't cost a fortune. But the difference if Spurs come in for a player and Fulham going for a player, we're asked to pay about 15, 20 mil more. Oh, I think Yang Lang is dead meat.
Yeah, I do too.
There's going to be at least one execution, whatever happens. You know, whether I mean, like, we don't know the full extent of what Vinay Venkatesh's been doing. How much is actually down to Langer on this, or whether they're both in cahoots. If they're both in cahoots on footballing side, then they go. But because he's a CEO, he might be involved in lots of our commercial activities. Right, you read that wrong. I don't. You read that wrong, Adrian. I don't know what you mean, mate. I have to explain. Right, the father mentioned other men. Oh, right. I said, okay, all right. Read that wrong, you meant. Okay, stateside. Right. Matching Joe's here. It's a bit lives in 5 North West. Okay, let's get into this, Steve. Right, so this is what we're looking for. I mean, it appears if you read in the media reports that Deserby's had an effect on the training field, Steve.
Yeah, so and it's hard to really tell because when we see it, it is what 10-second clips on X, or maybe there is a maybe there is a report that makes it onto YouTube. But that being said, it's really hard to gauge. One of the questions that I absolutely have is whether or not the players have actually responded, right? And one of the things that I asked, that the reason why I asked that question is because we know that these players have quit on 2 coaches already this season. And from that standpoint, right, it's going to be hard for a coach to come in knowing that players have, essentially laid down for 2 coaches. And it's hard, like when you do something that's weak, it's hard to do something strong, right? And I guess that kind of goes back to what I said a little bit earlier today, is you wonder whether or not these players have, a loser's mentality. Because when you do something like that, like when adversity hits and you don't fight back and you don't show any type of resilience, it's really hard to kind of pick up the ball when you have a new guy walking through the door. But that being said, one of the things that I did hear was the fact that De Zerbi does have expectations, right? There are certain expectations that are on the players in order to get into the starting 11, right? So there's challenges that are putting in place, and that to me is something that I want to see what these players respond to, because at the end of the day, that's exactly what professional players like. They like to be challenged. They like to be put in situations where they actually have to go out and prove something. And that's a far cry from what we saw under Thomas Frank, right? Thomas Frank was anything but that type of that type of manager. And me personally, I don't think that a guy like Igor Tudor really could relate to some of these players. And so from that standpoint, we're going to find out very quickly. But that being said, from everything, it looks like the players have responded positively. That in itself is actually something that makes me a little bit happy. But that being said, what I will say, Adrian, is that in order to fully get Roberto De Zerbi's tactics and his philosophy, it's going to take longer than 7 games, right? And so from that standpoint, how is De Zerbi going to implement something that is, a front-footed attacking style of football that is going to lead to immediate goals? Because I don't care what anybody says, this team hasn't won a Premier League game scoring 2 or more goals since December. Outside of the Champions League, this team hasn't scored 2 goals in a Premier League match in God knows how long. I think it was January the 7th or February, something like that, where they have this team just doesn't score goals. And so from that standpoint, in order for this team to stay up, it's going to have to score goals. And so from that standpoint, how is Roberto De Zerbi going to keep this thing simple, but also yet allow this team to be brave? Because if this team can't do it, one kind of leads to the other. And if this team is going to be able to press forward, be on the front foot, be brave, take chances, they're going to score goals. So how is that going to happen? How is De Zerbi going to be able to do that and simplify tactics that is going to be allow this team to finally actually be themselves? That's to me, that is positivity in itself.
Well, his man management style is already coming across, in my opinion, because he's bigged some of the players up. And when we get into Sunderland later, we'll go into it in greater detail. But what he said in the recent press conferences, if you've seen him, there's one with the Tottenham talk, and there was the official press conference as well. I mean, he talked about there were players at Spurs he would like to have had at Marseille. Mm-hmm. And he mentioned players by name, and I didn't pick a couple of them in my team, but he talked about the young players. He talked about Xavi, Gray, Bergvall, and Tell, right? It wasn't glowing references, but he talked about them positively. He also talked about Conor Gallagher, who hasn't really impressed me this season yet. He's yet to show me what we paid the money for. And he definitely bigged up VDV and Romero. And he talked about Solanke and Richarlison. And there was a hint with Richarlison to me, which means when we get into we might see him on the left against Sunderland, because he was talking about his sort of versatility and fight and all that. And that sort of made me think, maybe on the
Did Adrian just did he just peace out accidentally? Okay. Yeah, so until Adrian comes back, there he is. There he is.
I misclicked. I'll have to move this mouse out of the way.
I was like, whoa. I was like,
Yeah.
what just happened here?
Yeah, so yeah,
You know,
so
what's funny, Adrian, is like in my starting 11, I actually had Richarlison on the right with Tell on the left, but if you told me it was the opposite,
I don't know. I mean, that's one thing that's going to keep the Sunderland manager busy as well, because we've got no idea. I mean, I always judge it like even on a pre-season tour when we get bringing players in, in games or in league games, I'm always looking like, right, when everyone's fit, you can assess it more clearly. Who's the 11 he's picking for this game? Now, it might be a specific 11, whether we're away or at home. It could be one or two players different because we're playing away or at home. Then I always look at the bench, and then I look at like, right, who's been left out of this squad? Why hasn't he picked him? Don't he like him? Have they got the wrong attitude in training, or doesn't he think they're just not doing enough to warrant a starting spot? So I always look at that. I mean, we know Kingsky will be in goal, and you can pick the back four, but I mean, like we'll get into that bit later. But we don't really know. I mean, we don't even know what system he's going to go with.
Correct.
I mean, favourite system is 4-2-3-1, but that's not much difference to 4-3-3. I mean, as real.
Well,
I mean,
so let me ask you then, right? Because we've already pointed out the fact that we're essentially going to be playing three strikers across the attacking three. Is this a situation where maybe he goes old school and plays a 4-4-2? Because it would suggest that it might be a little bit better conducive to run something like that, just considering you're going to be able to run both Richarlison and Solanke up top, especially if they actually keep them higher up the pitch and not have them drift back so deep on defense. But that being said, it's like the way, like if I'm thinking like a 4-2-3-1 or a 4-3-3, it's like the only way that would work is if he keeps at least two of them higher up the pitch, even on defense, right? So it's like the way I just want a formation that is going to allow this team just to be able to play a little bit more freely through the middle of the park and just be able to score goals really at the end of the day, right? I'm just kind of curious to see like what you feel like would be a good fit for the players that are going to be available.
Right. Okay. Well, we'll go on to Sunderland now, and I'll come on to the squad depth and all that afterwards. Right, as we've into just go over these. Yeah. I mean, I remember when we didn't go down and we beat Leeds on the last game of the season 4-2, but that was when Alfie Cobb was a member of the team, right? So, right, we're going to go to Sunderland because as we've started on this, we might as well stay with it. Sunderland away. These are their injuries, Steve. Right, Madison Cooler, Davies, Bentancur, Basuma, who cares, Vicario, and Kudus, right? That's eight out. But okay, these are the fit players. There's 20. We're not down to 13 no more. There's 20, right? You got Austin or Kingsky, probably be Kinsky. You doggy Souza. Shit. What have I not? Oh, I've got that on a 10. Sorry. Right, it's off now. Right, so let's get back on. Right, so we've got 20 here to pick from. Obviously there's two goalkeepers here and there's two left backs here and two right backs here. So there's cover. There
is
here. I mean, like, he has played. He's 3-4-3, but he's mainly a 4-2-3-1 or a 4-3-3.
Yeah.
I mean, if we were going to predict a lineup on these, I mean, I think you could safely say that Kinsky starts this one.
Yep.
And he's going to be nervous as shit, isn't he?
Maybe. I definitely think that Igor got it wrong when he played him away at Atletico. There's a right way and there's a wrong way to bring in a young player back into the 11, considering we hadn't seen him in a year, and it's not European night away in a hostile environment. But that being said, one of the things that I do think is that he's gonna come back, and I'm sure he's gonna be excited and ready to wipe away that performance in Atletico. And I would probably assume that he is probably going to be revved up for this one. What I like about it is the fact that he's going to have Cootie and VDV playing in front of him. But really, from that standpoint, I think for me the biggest issue is going to be that midfield, because if it is going to be a double pivot, right, that's going to have to be right, and then also the 10 as well too. That midfield three, considering they're probably going to pull out Granit Xhaka, Siddiqui, and then Diarra as their midfield three. We're going to have to match the tempo of what they're going to be able to throw at us, right? And so from that standpoint, we're going to need a little sandpaper, a little grit in that midfield. But we're also going to have to be able to play through the middle of the park. And so I guess the question is, is this an opportunity? What is going to work better? Is this going to be an opportunity for Papsar, or is this a Bergvall start, or do you roll with Gray? Is this going to be a Polina Gray Xavi type of midfield three? Like what combination is De Zerbi going to throw out there that's going to match the pace and intensity of what we expect Sunderland is going to be able to play in that midfield three?
Well, I don't know if you can read everything to what he said, but I'm always picking out what he leaves out. He didn't mention Polina in his press conference, and he didn't mention Mwani, but he mentioned Richie and Solanke. If I'm wrong in the chat, please remind me. If I'm incorrect, I don't want to give you false vibes at all. And I sort of find them things, but he did mention Gallagher, So, and he talked about how good Gallagher was at Chelsea. So you start thinking, he's going to play a role. I didn't pick Gallagher in my starting 11, but I mean,
neither did I.
We can have some fun with this. I mean, I think you can safely say Kinksky starts, Udogie, VDV, and Romero, and then you're looking at Porro or Spence on the right.
Yeah, I mean, the interesting thing though is, right, one of the things that I personally believe the reason why Gallagher hasn't really kicked on is because when we brought him in, Thomas Frank was using him essentially as a stay-at-home six instead of actually playing him as a box-to-box, using him a little bit higher up in the pitch. I think the only time that we ever really saw Gallagher play well was in the second half against Manchester City, where he was actually kind of brilliant. But that being said, outside of that, he was essentially played in the same role as Betancourt was playing in the earlier portion of the season, where he wasn't able to be a link up within that middle of the park. And so from that standpoint, we really haven't seen the best of what Conor Gallagher is able to provide. So does that mean that he's actually going to be playing the role that I think we envisioned him coming into play? Is he going to be that true box to box? And is he going to be that link between, the midfield and, the 10 position, right? So how is that going to play a role with Xavi? Is there going is that what's being working on in training right now? Because I wouldn't mind seeing a midfield three of Polina, Gallagher, Xavi. I think that potentially has some potential. But that being said, it's like, okay, cool. Maybe that matches, but again, at the end of the day, right, it's going to be, in my estimation, how are the wings going to be used? Is this going to be where they're going to be inside forwards and we're going to have width from Porro and Udogie? And then of course, how does that look like? Who is going to be playing off of who? And then, is there going to be an overload on one side where a Solanke or a Richarlison can actually provide those goals? So,
well, this is why I think this is why Porro starts on the right, because he gets his crosses and does that.
Yeah, 100%.
Unless they do what we did before under Tudor and have Spence playing in front of him, but he's not going to do that. He's not going to do that.
No.
I think that back four will be the one that most fans would pick. Udogie gives you width on there, gives us better balance. VDV, Romero, and it's a good back four on its day. It's an excellent back four. Just hasn't had too many good days, or we haven't had all playing together regularly. in midfield, I mean, don't laugh. Mine's different to yours. I went for Bergvall, Gray, and Sarr.
I think mine was
Polina. Yeah,
my midfield three was. My midfield three was. Go ahead. Sorry.
Okay. Right. So my reason was based on we're away from home. We want legs in midfield. So I'm not playing Paulina in that just to sit there. No way. I want more than a sitter there. If he was at home and attacking like mad, you could probably stick him in. I mean, so, and the reason was like Bergvall has been tried on the left as a left wing attacking a player and he can carry the ball. And if you got your doggy there as well, then we can get some width through that way. And on the right, and then with Sarr and Gray, I think Gray's been outstanding recently. You can't leave him out of the team. But I've got. Do I believe that De Zerbi will pick that three? No, not after he talked about Conor Gallagher. I don't know. So, but he did talk about Gray and Bergvall. So it wouldn't surprise me if it was Gray, Bergvall, and Conor Gallagher. I mean, give me your reason for three. Go on.
I had Polina, Gray, and Xavi, and I think that if there's anybody that's going to benefit from Roberto De Zerbi in the way that he plays, it's going to be Xavi. Personally, I don't think Igor Tudor or Thomas Frank knew exactly how to unlock a kid like Xavi with his flair and his ability on the ball. And I just a big part of me thinks that Xavi is going to benefit. The reason why I had Polina in there is because of Granit Xhaka. And Granit Xhaka is that piece in their midfield that does unlock the attacking three. With him on the ball, he can play it long, but he can also play it through the middle of the park. And one of the things that we're going to need is somebody that's going to be able to step in and challenge, put out fires. And Polina is certainly that type of guy. It doesn't matter about his speed; his positioning has always been good, and he can get himself into challenges. And he's one of those type of guys that, it seems like it's going to be needed against a team like Sunderland, because again, the physicality and the athleticism that Sunderland play with, you're going to need somebody that is going to be able to set up outside the 18-yard box, step into a challenge, block a shot. And Polina, to me, is that type of guy. But the other reason why I had Archie Gray in my starting 11 was because Archie Gray has been playing exceptionally well over the course of the last couple of months. He's kind of been that lone survivor, if you will, of somebody that is going to play hard. That being said, I actually kind of like Archie Gray as an 8 because he has been actually quietly very good in that position. But again, if you told me that they're going to play that De Zerbi is actually going to play Conor Gallagher in the role in what he was meant to play, and to be that link, then yeah, I probably wouldn't have a problem with that. But again, I just feel like Xavi is going to be the guy that's going to benefit the most, because I have a feeling that a guy like Roberto De Zerbi is going to know exactly how to put him in places where the ball on his right foot is going to be an actual weapon, instead of what has transpired where he's going to have to start at the midway line, dribble up, and then try to put himself in a position or create space on his own. I actually have a feeling that De Zerbi is probably going to keep him higher up the pitch, along with one of two other players. And so from that standpoint, there's going to be quick transitions in the midfield. That's the way that I see it.
He's thrown me now, because I pick up on things, and I'd like in mentioning Gallagher, it's not going to be the midfield three I've picked now. Now, I definitely think Gray and Gallagher a start. Now I'm not so sure about Bergvall, because he's putting Gallagher in there. It's the question who else he goes with, Steve. So it could still be Bergvall in there on the left, because we haven't got a left winger as such. I mean, it depends whether he picks Tell, and I'm more for. It's real away from. I'm more for it being a sort of a 4-3-3, well, a 4-3-1-2. Xavi plays. I mean, I'm assuming he picks Xavi, and if he plays behind a front two, he didn't mention Moani, so I would have thought it'd be Richarlison and Solanke. But him mentioning the fact that Richarlison was versatile and all that, and a bit about Everton and the way he played at Everton. I'm thinking, well, at Everton, he played on the left and on the right hand wing, like, you know. So I'm thinking because Richarlison, he's a tank, you know. He's hard to get past if he's on the left. Do you know what I mean? And so, like, I get the feeling Richarlison's going to play on the left and Gallagher's going to play. So then that might mean Tell plays on the right with Solanke as a front striker, you know, which I think, because it hasn't really worked with him playing off of Richarlison. It hasn't really worked that well. And Solanke, and we've seen Solanke play when Richarlison hasn't decided up front on his own, and he's done okay. You know, it's as if they're getting in the way of each other's game, basically, in a way. You know, it's not like
I don't see
partnership or something, or a Kane Dele.
I don't like Richarlison as a winger because I think he's absolutely dreadful on either side. But that being said, I also recognize that we're in a situation because we actually don't have one. That might, you know, that's most likely going to be a possibility. The only thing that I think the only way that I think it will work is if he's used as the lone inside forward, right, where he comes underneath off the right sided center back, that allows Udogie to actually play the overlap. And with Richarlison kind of curling in off that left sided center back, it draws defenders in. That is going to allow potentially a Matisse Tell or a Pedro Porro or a Solanke to actually be in a better, a better situation on the far post. Because at that stage, all we have to do is play a decent ball into Solanke and we're scoring goals at the back post, right? So from that standpoint, how it would work is if Richie is kind of playing that left-sided left wing / false nine type of role, where it can potentially be used as a decoy where it draws defenders off. So from that standpoint, I like the idea. I like the idea of it. But that being said, if he's playing as a sole winger where he's holding width to the outside, that's not going to be ideal.
I think if he does that, it's because we're away from home and he can help block up that left-hand side, right? You've got Udogie down there as well, who's a tank as well. So really, you've got two tanks on the left there. And we're not sure who's going to be, whether it's a midfield pivot or a free in the middle with someone like...
By the way, in the chat right here, it's Therapy/U5R6D right here who says the only players I keep in this entire squad is Tell and Richie. I kind of agree with that. That's the only thing that Tara has said that I actually agree with. But yeah, because that's the thing. It's like, how does Tell fit in this equation? Because one of the things I like about Tell, and by the way, he's also not a winger, but at least Tell tries shit, and that's what I like about Tell. He's not afraid just to try things. And be a little bit brave. So from that standpoint, I kind of want to keep Tell in this 11 as well too.
And he doesn't deserve to be dropped because they're two best players recently.
Correct.
Gray and Tell. Alan, we're going through the team first, and I'm going to move on to other subjects, transfers and things like players we've been linked with, blah blah blah. But basically, in the press conferences, I mean, like, De Zerbi bigged up VDV and Romero big time. How important they are, which is good for the players. His man management is already coming through in that way. And he mentioned the four kids. He mentioned Xavi, he mentioned Gray, Bergvall, and Tell, right? So, and he also mentioned Conor Gallagher. And I didn't pick Gallagher in my team because he's done nothing for me this season, right? So, and he didn't mention Moani.
Gallagher, you've done nothing.
Yeah, he didn't mention Moani in case you missed it, but he did mention both Solanke and Richarlison and how versatile Richarlison was. And I picked up on that because I think, you may be playing him on the left or on the right and playing Solanke through the middle. Because it hasn't quite worked the other way around with Richie up on his front. And I think it's because Solanke holds the ball up a bit better. He's technically much better than Richie, even though Richie's up in the top three strikers on form in the Premier League. And you've got Haaland at number one, right? So, so we sort of decided on the fact that it's going to be like the regular back four with Kinksky and goal. It'll be Udogie, who will give us balance, VDV, Romero, Porro, because he'll be able to get his crosses in and get forward. Yep. But midfield, I mean, I went with when I picked my team earlier, because I think Gallagher's playing now, but I went with Sarr, Gray and Bergvall just for loads of energy and legs in midfield, basically. because Paulinho hasn't got the legs. He'll get up and score goals, and that might, make him. I mean, don't get me wrong. If we keep him as a player in the summer, I'm not going to argue with it at all. But I don't see that happening. But I don't see Paulinho starting this game. I think we need energy up there, energy in midfield. But what sort of midfield three would you go for? I mean, I think Gallagher, but without putting words in your mouth, I think Gallagher and Gray are going to be two starters. The way he's talked,
I mean, I agree with Gray and Bergvall. I think I'd want someone with a little more experience in that midfield. I know that because they both have legs. I'm worried about Sarr and Bergvall because the two of them can be kind of aimless, touch every blade of grass, and not amount to much. So, if not Paulinho, that's fine. But where are you playing Xavi?
Well, I was thinking 4-3-1-2 with Xavi on the front two, and then if Gallagher's in there, I'm thinking maybe we'll go to his favourite system is 4-2-3-1. So then if you were playing Gallagher and Gray in midfield, right? I think they would complement each other actually. Both can get forward, both can get back. So then you've got three in front of you. Then it gives you the option of playing either Tell on the left attacking midfield or Bergvall. Then you've got Xavi in the middle. But then you might have Tell on the right. If Tell might be on the right if you've got Richarlison on the left, Xavi in the middle, Tell on the right, and Solanke up front. That would make sense to me. I haven't got a clue if he's going to do that, which is good because we shouldn't know. We shouldn't know because then Sunderland's manager will know. But as I alluded with Steve earlier, I think he'll put. I get the feeling he's going to put Richie on the left to block up that left-hand side. With your doggy, you've got two tanks down there. If anything, the right-hand side will be the weaker side because Porro can get forward and leave himself a bit exposed. But he
likes to move up.
But if you've got Tell on the right, he will work like a dog. He will track back and do everything. So
he will. He
could cover. But what do you think? I mean, a two in mid or three. I mean,
maybe two. Just go Archie Gray and maybe Paulinho or something like that, or Archie. Go that route. Give a little experience. Paulinho can deal with people like Granit Xhaka and stuff like that, because he's dangerous in the midfield. And then that gives you, what is that? So that's the two, and then you got a 3 and a 1. So who would you put up as for 3?
Well, who would you put in the 3? In the chat,
I would put Xavi in the middle.
Yeah,
I'd probably put Xavi in the middle. Maybe Tell on the right and Richie on the left with Solanke up top.
That would make sense 4-2-3-1. But then you're leaving Gallagher out. You're putting Paulinho in instead of Gallagher. He didn't mention Paulinho. I mean, don't get me wrong. It might not mean nothing. He might have just overlooked him. But I just picked up on that. I think the fact that he mentioned Gallagher starts, and he
mentioned Gallagher. Or he mentioned Gallagher to throw the send off from Regis Labrie right there. Right. Well, so maybe Regis is prepping for potentially to see Gallagher in the midfield. But I actually had Paulinho there because I personally think you're going to need a little veteran wisdom in this one. You're also going to need a little sandpaper as well too, and Paulinho is exactly that. Especially understanding that Granit Xhaka is probably going to be pushing up a little bit higher, even as a CDM/CM, right? His ability to break lines with his passes. But that being said, it's like you're going to need somebody to put out fires, and Paulinho does that, right? So I actually had Archie Gray as that box to box because he's been sneaky good at that position this year, and I also had Xavi in that central attacking area just because, quite frankly, he's the best 10 that we have. And if anybody's going to unlock Xavi, it's going to be Roberto De Zerbi. So from that standpoint, that was my 3. But that being said, it's like if you told me that Conor Gallagher was actually going to be playing his true position, I I would be all for that as well too, because I actually think that so far this season he's been used as a defensive mid, and he's been absolute terrible. He's been absolute hot garbage, playing in a defensive midfield role when he's actually more of an attacker. So that's just well, that's the whole thing. Is Roberto De Zerbi going to play players in the positions that they're supposed to be playing? Right?
Oh, please, players, round pegs in round holes, please. I mean, he might go just experience. He might go Gallagher and Paulinho with Gray, and then you would be playing Xavi behind the front too.
I feel like that slows down our midfield though, because they're not the fastest players. The
yeah, but Sunderland's not a front-footed team though. That's Sunderland is more of a counter-attacking team to begin with anyways, right? It's not like they're going to be pushing the pace forward, right? So from that standpoint, right, like even if we're playing a higher line than we usually would, it's you're still not going to Polini is still not going to be pushed up higher up the pitch. He's still probably going to be in that at that halfway line area anyway. So it's not like he's going to have to track back a shitload, right? So from that standpoint, it's like that doesn't worry me at all. There's a good chance that we're probably going to dominate possession in this game.
I mean, I guess I just like to have a little more energy. I find that playing Gallagher with Paulinho is kind of slower players, as opposed to getting, yes, Archie Gray, but then someone else that's faster, has a little more energy on the ball with one of them. Not both of them.
Well, I just hope we get the Gallagher. I didn't watch him playing at Chelsea. Well, I want to watch Chelsea, apart from when they're playing us. I mean, the best I see at Gallagher is when Palace beat us 3-0, was on loan to them, and I thought it was superb then in that game. But I haven't seen nothing like that from him since he's been at Spurs. But then we've been a right shit show in every department, and like we've not had a settled team. We haven't had players that have got understandings, that have played in pairs. I mean, like Man United players, you had an understanding between Gary Neville and Beckham, didn't you? You had an understanding on the other side between the other Neville and Gigg. I mean, like we've had none of that understanding. No one's played together sufficiently enough, and then we've had to play the same players in different positions because we've only had 13 or 14 fit players. I mean, and to be honest, we've been crap. We don't deserve to be any better than we are, but the managers that we've had should have got a better tune out of these players because they're all internationals. I mean, like they're not bad players. Correct. So what is wrong? They're not bad players. I mean, you may argue you might not want them. You might not think someone good enough to play for a club like Spurs. That's fair enough. And you'll have your pet hates and your pet loves, but they're not bad players. So something's wrong. Maybe this coaching in our league now, this robotic style of football, maybe it's just suck the guts out of players, So like, and there's very few mavericks out there in the game.
Unfortunately, it's just not how the game's played anymore.
No, and it's supposed to be an entertainment industry.
Yeah,
it's right. So your midfield three then, Alan. You were going with Paulina and you weren't playing Gallagher, yeah, which could be a double bluff, as Steve's alluded to.
No, I guess I'd go. Because I would put Xavi in the middle, and then I'd have Archie Gray and Paulinho. I think. Okay. I would play Paulinho.
All right, I do like Gallagher. Look, I know he's a better player than what we've seen, and because this club's been such a shit show, we don't know it's because players have been constrained. I mean, the players that seem to want to do something on the ball, two of them have been like Gray and Tell, really. You're going to get a shift out of Richie, but I mean, I've seen so many better strikers at this football club over the decades I've watched than Richie. I mean, he's the sort of player that kept Everton up. So maybe it will go to that. Gallagher and Simmons, 2 number 10s. Yeah.
I don't know how Gallagher is.
He's not a playmaker. Yeah. I mean, when they beat us at Palace, he was doing more of the he was actually doing more of a sort of Walton role. It was just like he was pulling the strings, wasn't he? Basically, when they thrashed us.
To be honest, I only know Conor Gallagher's name because we've been linked to him so many times before, but I never really followed him. I know he was at Crystal Palace. I know he was in Atletico Madrid. I know he was at Chelsea, but I didn't really follow him as a player. And what I've seen so far of him has not been very good.
Yeah. Right. So we're uncertain about the midfield. I think most fans will know who the back four and the goalkeeper is going to be. And it's a question of like, if it's a two, let's do it both. If it's I mean, like, who plays up front? I don't see Marnie starting this game.
No, I see Solanke starting. I think he's going to start Solanke.
Agreed.
I think Richie starts as well. You want him in a fight.
I know, I agree. Richie will fight. No doubt about it. Richie will fight. He may not be super accurate with his kicks and stuff, but he will fight.
I'm just going through the chat. They're having some banter in the chat, which is all good fun.
Yes.
Yeah, I agree with you. Actually, I agree, and I don't like these terms 6, 8, and 10 either. Either to me, back in the day, it was like you was either a central midfielder, attacking midfielder, or whatever it was, because then when you talk to someone, then someone in another debate go, well, he's not a 6. Well, hang about. The definition of a 6 is too one-dimensional for me. It's too one-dimensional. It's the same as saying an 8. An 8 to me is just a central midfielder, right? Does a bit of everything, up and down. And a 10, well, no, you've got your playmaker, I mean, when you talk about 10s, you've had a 10 that was Dele Alli. He was totally different to Ericsson, He was totally different to Bobby Firmino at Liverpool. I mean, you can't say 10 because it's non-specific. What we got here? Well, whether it's bad for football or not, mate, I mean, like, it's down to us. It's in our hands. We have got the games. We've got the point. We just got to make sure, we get more points than, enough points to finish 4th or higher, 4th from bottom. This is the fit players. We've got 20 to choose from, Alan, here, I mean, like, the subs bench won't be that bad. I mean, because you'll have Danso, Spence on the bench. Mahoney will be on the bench. Maybe Tell if he starts or not. We don't know if Tell's going to start. Gray and Tell deserve to start, though, in recent form.
They do. I mean, they're trying. Tell. We just need him to be a little more clinical in the final third. But there's no doubt about his energy and his desire. But I do question kind of his finishing.
Mark, I don't think Richie's a good enough player to play for this football club. I've said it. He's technically not good enough. I mean, the ball virtually has to be put on the plate for him. He goes the odd wonder goal, the overhead kick and all that. But he's just like, he's got so many rough edges. He's technically, his hold-up play is not good enough. I mean, some games it works for him, so he looks better than he really is. I don't think there's any. I'd rather have Lancashire, seriously. I'd rather have Lancashire than I would him, seriously.
Okay.
We're going to come on to that anyway. Like, it's a sport. Yeah, and Calvert-Lewin ain't nothing special either. Yeah, but we are where we are because of our leaders at the top of this club. Well, lack of leadership at the top of this club be more like it. And I mean the Enoch leadership.
He kind of touched on that, De Zerbi, talking about transfers. He said that he hopes that he's included in a lot of those decisions. I think he will be.
Yeah.
I kind of liked what I heard, and so far I've liked the videos I've been seeing of him practice with the guys. You know, he seems to be a hands-on coach. You know, I know like Ange was a hands-off coach. You know, he wasn't really around for practice. He had his coaches do that stuff. But
Right,
Deserbi
right.
likes to get in the mix, which I
Well, I think it's irrelevant, right? Because the first thing that has to happen is we have to stay up, right? Because if we don't stay up, we're not going to, all this talk right here, like, Romero says that we're linked to a Porto player. Like if it's the striker Samu, the Porto striker, it's not going to matter. Like nobody's going to be coming to us.
Agahawa.
Yeah, Agahawa in the championship, right? So the first things, like we can talk about players that we're linked to, but none of it matters if we're in the championship, because now all of a sudden we're going to be in line for a different class of player.
Well, we're going to do that now, actually, because we're going to do that now because, as you know me, I always do the groundwork behind the scenes. So this is right now. The question is under De Zerbi, right? And I want you to think about the academy as well at the same time, because if we need like the players we need, right? Let me go to where's the banner? I keep that.
What's the big news everybody's talking about?
West Ham won 4-0. That's all.
Oh, I watched most of that game.
So we're third from bottom, basically.
Yeah.
So, right.
First time I think since 2009.
Right. On the outgoings, right? This is what I want to go into. Now, I want to bear this in mind with the ingoings, because if there's a question, if there's going to be a pathway for academy players, but there should be. If we say at a minimum, Vicario will go, Davis will go, Basuma will go, Richarlison, Marnie's going, Richarlison, that's 5, right?
You could probably put Paulinho in that list as well too.
Yeah. I don't think we're not paying that money for Paulinho. There's no way it's happening. I don't think De Zerbi will go for it, because the reason is he's interested in his player Vermeer at Marseille as well. He's got players he'll be interested in, and we've got to make room. Now, on the basis if it was 5, I think like Paulinho you could add to that list. I mean, minimum like that would be 6, which actually wouldn't be a bad thing, because you've got to look at, like, this is what I've got here. Ideally 5 signings in the summer. We know the 3 priority signings minimum are a quality left winger, a striker, and a goalkeeper. We know Marnie's going, and even if I'd like Lanks this way, I want Lancashire brought in as well anyway, right? Now I'm going to throw some goalkeepers at you guys, right? Because I made lists to make things easier for us, as I always do, right? These are some goalkeepers, right? Edison is in Turkey now. Verbruggen, we know he's at Brighton. James Trafford, Henderson, Kelleher, Costa's at.
Costa is at. He's at
Sporting, Benfica, or Porto.
He's at Sporting, I believe, because he just played the other night.
And then another guy that's been mentioned recently is at Sheffield Wednesday. Is the 24-year-old 6'1". You won't have heard of him, Pierce Charles, but he's Sheffield Wednesday's at the bottom, so like he's been bombarded, but he's done well. You know what I mean? So this kid, but this is if we bring 2 in, don't mind bringing a kid in if he's rated. If we bring 2 in, but I mean I liked Edison when he was at Man City, really good with his feet. I don't know why they got rid of him. I know Donnarumma's probably an upgrade, but they even got James Trafford in. But he was very nervy when he first started at Man City. But yeah, I mean, like, would you take one or more of these guys? I mean, anything better than what we've got.
I wouldn't mind having Dino Henderson or Kelleher. Two very good experienced Premier League keepers if you want to go that way. But I don't know, like the guy that I kind of want is actually playing for the team that we're playing on Sunday, Robin Roofs, the Dutch international. Dude, his game is bulletproof. I've seen Robin Roofs play at least 5-6 times this year. Now, granted, it all depends on whether or not we're going to be able to pull something like that off. It probably would make sense to go for one of these guys, considering I think the path to getting those are probably going to be a little bit easier for Spurs. I guess it all depends on the quality left in a guy like Henderson, but of the names on this list, yeah, I would probably spring for probably Henderson or Kelleher.
For me, I was going to do a video on Diogo Costa, and I was wrong. He's at Porto. He's the Porto captain, and he's probably one of the best penalty shot stoppers out there. I'm trying to remember what game he played and who they were playing where he stopped all three and they won. I don't remember.
Yeah, Diogo Costa.
Yeah, he's at the right age, like 29 or something like that. He is 6'1". Oh no, he's 20. Oh, he's 26. I'm sorry, he's 26. But he has a release clause. I want to say I don't remember how much it is. It's like 40 something million, I think, euros. And he's someone that I think Porto would release if we pay. They wouldn't have a choice. Although I guess unless they're Nottingham Forest, I guess they don't have a choice. But I would go for Costa. I think he's the kind of goalie that we could have. We wouldn't have those Vicario moments with him. He also is a very De Zerbi style goalie, because De Zerbi counts the goalie almost as one of the 11 outfield player. That instead of 10, he considers him almost like an 11. Uses the goalie, and he's like a sweeper keeper. He's he likes to come out. He likes to dictate the play and whatnot. And I think he would fit De Zerbi's style of play. Costa. I'm not sure. James Trafford is still, in my opinion, he's one of those young prospects, and I think like someone like Acosta is more of a ready-made, ready to go.
By the way, Costa this season, he's played 2,475 minutes, only conceded 13 goals, 17 clean sheets in 28 matches, and he saved one of two penalties. And I think that his market value right now is somewhere right around the 50 million mark. That's actually not bad at all.
I thought City got Trafford in to replace Ederson, and Ederson went out to Turkey. I think it was Galatasaray.
He went to.
I like Ederson. I mean, he would be a deserving player. I mean, like, he's good with his feet. He's very good with his feet, Ederson. I don't know if he went right off the ball when City got with him, or maybe they thought, how old's he? How old's Ederson? Get him up for me, please. How old's he? I mean, maybe he's been there quite a while, though, hasn't he? So, yeah, I mean,
the only problem with Pierce Charles is, we already have that that next goalkeeper prospect already in the fold with Kinski, right?
Yeah, we got Cantor and Maguire as well, and the academy and things like that. So because he got mentioned today, and I thought, highly rated goalkeeper, lots of clubs looking at him. So I thought I'd just mention him, which, I mean, like, we'll see. So, and we have to take in consideration, we'll come on to this. I mean, like, De Zerbi pulling power. I think he's got some pulling power as a manager, more than Frank would have or Tudor. Anyway, definitely.
Oh, yeah. He seems again, for someone that hasn't won a lot, he does have that, seems to have that pulling power. So,
I also think it's in his contract that he's also going to be a part of the decision-making prospect when it comes to the decision-making process when it comes to the transfer window. I think that was one of the sticking points of him coming in here, that there's going to be some sort of pull. He's going to have some sort of pull when it comes to the transfer market.
I'd much rather him than Lange. Lange had a chance at the January window and screwed it up. Royal.
Lange is going to be gone. Johan Lange is going to be gone. One way or another, you probably assume that he's probably going to be out the door.
Right. Before we move on to the wingers, I've got a lot more to get through. But there's 8 of you viewing us on various platforms, which is excellent on a Friday night. We do have a red subscribe button down in the bottom right corner. If you could please subscribe to the channel, and give the videos a thumbs up. It just helps the algorithm. You know, we don't beg for members here or anything like that. But I mean, it's a big help. Helps the algorithm. Helps us bring you 3 content regularly because as shows go out. I mean, I do the Friday show. EMF does the Sunday show, and I usually do the Tuesday show. And sometimes it might be turned to a Wednesday, like. Right, so big up to you all in the chat for your comments and questions, and big up to all you watching on various platforms. Right, I've made a list of left wingers. I'm going to do strikers, and I want to talk about what I think a big issue is for us afterwards. Right, so left wingers I've put here. Right, we've been linked with some of them. Harrison's at Fulham, Sade's at Brentford, Mitoma's at
Shada, I think, is at Brentford. Yeah,
Yeah.
Mitoma's at Brighton.
Larson's at Burnley, Bowen's at West Ham, Savini's at. Now you can add to these guys.
Hansen.
Would you take any of these, Steve?
Yeah, yes, I would.
Okay.
I do like Kevin Shada, Matoma, and Jared Bowen.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think that we're going to get Jared Bowen or Matoma. Maybe, but yeah, like Somerville, I'm not sold on. Me personally, I think there are better options outside of the Premier League when we're talking about left wingers. Me personally, I think we actually need 2. And the reason why I say that is because what's his the French Wilson Odobert has the Odobert has the ACL. That's going to take 10 months to come back, so he's not even going to be ready for summer. We're talking second half of next season. So from that standpoint, we're probably going to need 2. And so from that standpoint, it all depends, right? So if Mikey Moore comes back and actually makes the team next season, maybe you can get away with 1. And Mikey Moore actually has a role with this team next year. But me personally, I'm thinking outside of the Premier League for that left winger, somebody that is going to actually, be a legit star, right? One of the things that I think we're going to need is at least one of these 3 impact incomings are going to actually have to be a quote unquote a star. And if that's going to be on the left wing, fair enough. But yeah, like me personally, let me ask you guys this question. Looking at this list, are any one of these guys capable of having a 1 in 3, 1 in 4 strike rate when it comes to goals? Because you're going to need some goal production on the wing.
Yeah,
Kevin Shada, maybe. Jared Bowen, definitely. But Jared Bowen's probably West Ham is probably not going to give us Jared Bowen.
Well, if they go down,
Somerville's been scoring goals. Bowen's been playing through the middle for him, isn't he?
Yeah.
Somerville's been banging in goals recently. Harrison's done a decent job at Fulham. We're not going to attract elite players because we won't be in Europe. So wages might be the biggest pulling factor to get players to this football club.
Yeah, I mean, if we stay up and we pay, like we really pay, maybe a Jared Bowen. But that being said, it's like, again, all of this is dependent on us staying up. But that being said, it's like outside of maybe a Kevin Shada, because I actually kind of like Shada, but. I think that we're gonna have to actually bring in an actual name, a star.
It's all right when some of these players play well for 5 or 6 games and getting rave reviews. You really need to look at their whole season stats, don't you, to see if they've got consistency there. And they're going to give you what you need, or contribute enough. My biggest argument, even though I like Kudus, I think he's a fantastic footballer. But I've said it on so many podcasts. I don't care if we had Ronaldo on one wing and Messi on the others. If they don't score goals, these wingers are strikers. They're not. You can't say, oh yeah, but he's got loads of assists. Fine, right? Fine, getting loads of assists, but we need goals. I mean, same with the midfield issue. I mean, Maddison and Kulusevski. I like both players. Some fans don't like one or don't like both or whatever. But they gave us 22 goals last season. You can't ignore the goals because we're missing goals, right? And the midfield we've got won't give you that we've got now. Won't give you that. Xavi might kick on and do what Maddison does and give you 10 or 12 goals a season, which is what you want from him. I think he will, but I mean, it might take a bit of time. This is the wingers. So Slovenia again, technically very good, but again, goals. I mean, if any of these gain gravitas, if it isn't a foreign player, foreign winger, like a more versatile thing, or like an Akluish, or like that.
Christian Pulisic.
Yeah, where is he now?
AC Milan.
Is it Milan? Because he wasn't.
He can play. He can play on the left, the right, or up top if you need him. But that being said, his primary position is on the left side. And you know what? He scores goals. He scores a lot of goals.
Any other wingers you can think of? What about you, like in the chat? I mean, there's 40 comments. Like, your comments do come up here. I can't get to all of you. Like, we've got 8 of you viewing us. And
what's interesting about this is like the way that this thing is playing out right now is that you can't count on Kulusevski until you know for a fact he's coming back, right? So the way that I look at it is we need 2 left-sided wingers. We need another right winger to play with Kudus. For competition's sake, and we're going to need another striker, right? Because if Kolo Muani and Richarlison go, that just leaves you with Tell and Solanke, so you're going to need another striker. And so from that standpoint, you're looking at 4 attacking players through the door, and that's we still have a need on the back line and in goal, and probably another midfielder.
Well, we're going to come to midfielders after we do the strikers, because it was very hard to go through and even pick out strikers. I know we've been recently linked with Moise Keane, even though we're nowhere near. The Aguilar we've been linked with before. Thuram we were linked with before. Thiago we've been linked with. Vlahovic will be on a free. They don't want to pay his wages. I mean, Moani will probably go back to Juve and they'll let Vlahovic go. I mean, I'm a fan of Vlahovic. I mean, I am. He's on big wages, but then is he going to want to come? See, would any of these want to come to us anyway? I mean, would Turan, would they want to come to us? We've got to be in the Premier League to attract good players, and if we're in the Premier League, we're not going to attract elite players because we can't offer Champions League football or any European football. Would you take any of these though, or have you got any that you would like to throw in the frame? I struggled when I was looking for strikers.
Yeah, I was thinking about that. I do struggle because, just as you said, the ones that are easy to think about that you would want, they're not going to be attracted to come to us.
Correct.
Unless they're kind of in their sunset of their career and are just looking for a cash out. Then we would pay them and they would come to us as opposed to going somewhere else in Europe, maybe, let's say, or going for bigger money in the Saudi league or something like that. Right. It could, like, what's his name? He was on Real Madrid. Now he went to the Saudi league. He's there.
You talking about the guy that played in France originally with Olympique Lyon? I know who you're talking about. Yeah, he went from Lyon to Real Madrid. God, he's got a funny name, and I know who you're talking about. Yeah,
I could have put Ferran Torres in this or Nico Williams, but they ain't going to come to Spurs.
No.
Nico would be a great get as a left winger, but yeah, Vlahovic doesn't improve this team. Moise Keane has already failed in the Premier League. Agahawa would be a good get, right? But that being said, it's you're also gambling because he's making the jump from the Portuguese league up. But that being said, it would be out of all the names, Agahawa would probably be a very good get for this team.
Oh, I'm thinking Benzema. Someone like
Benzema. Yeah,
Benzema. I just mean that there are a lot of talent that went to the Saudi league that I think could come to us, even if they used us as a stepping stone to some, just to get back into the Premier League, into the real competitive football.
What about the former Brighton striker, not Brighton, Brentford striker that's in Saudi right now? The gambler.
Yeah.
Oh, right.
And we all can't think of his name. Troy Deeney. Is it Troy Deeney?
No, I think Troy Deeney is already retired. I think.
Yeah,
Ivan
Tony.
Toney.
Yeah, Ivan Toney.
Ivan Toney. That's who I've got the names written. Ivan Toney.
Someone like that. Again, I think these are players that I think we could get. I just, and to be honest, that is the only way I could think of getting players that might be above this group that you have here, Thiago, Vlahovic, and stuff like that, out of the Saudi league. It just, if we're willing to pay bigger wages and it's not such a big wage cut for them, I think we could attract them back into the Premier League.
What about the dude that's
because there's a dearth of striker? Is there a case for Richarlison staying?
I think we can.
What about?
Go ahead.
Yeah. I was going to say, what about the kid that plays for Red Bull Leipzig right now that wants to go to Liverpool?
Let me look him up.
It's not. Sesko's at Man United, isn't he?
His name came up in January, but what I will say is that, one of the things that I would like to see is this team get aggressive with inside the Premier League to try to pull a striker. There is quality.
Diamandi. Yes.
Yeah.
He's not coming to Spurs. I mean, every team wants him. I mean, like his progress has been astonishing.
Mm-hmm.
I mean,
he was in. I think 2 years ago he was in the U.S. second division, which is kind of amazing that he's riding the Lightning over there in Germany, which is outstanding. But
they're going to want Champions League football. The likes of Nico Williams, they end up at PSG or Real Madrid or Barcelona or whatever like that. You know what I mean? So
that's what I mean. There are strikers in the Saudi league that don't get Champions League, and coming to us,
Danny
maybe
Welbeck
takes a year.
He's about 56, and I think this is where we as fans are going to have to rely on De Zerbi, right? Having a say in who he brings in here in the striking department. I want to talk about, because people always talk about bringing in players, but then current midfielders, we got 9, right?
Mm-hmm.
Now, I've said in the past I'm not against 8, and the reason I say I'm not against 8 is because when you've got a squad of 25, not including youngsters, of course, if they're through the academy and can be added, right? You've got 2 in every position, 22. The third goalkeeper is 23. It leaves you 2 extra players. So if you've got 3 midfielders, you can double. That's 6. So you still got. I'd rather have 8 midfielders anyway, right?
Right.
Here, you got Xavi and Maddison here, right? Out of these, I do see Cooley fighting against Kudos for a place on the right. That would leave the numbers here. But the reason I'm saying is, I think we can all safely say we need a couple of midfielders. I've gone for 3 because that's the bare minimum, right? Goalkeeper, left winger, and striker. But we really need a couple of midfielders. I don't think we need a defender if we're keeping Spence, and we got Udogie and Souza, and we got enough centre backs. Like we got enough. Buskovich, Ashley Phillips up for Player of the Year in the Championship. I mean, you got Danso as well. I mean, even we lost one, we got enough centre backs, but
you're still going to need a left-sided center. You're still going to need a left-sided center back with VDV. But what I will say is that Madison will be back next season. Between him and Xavi, the 10 is covered. You're going to have Betancourt and Gray. You're going to have what's his ass? Gallagher, and you're going to have Bergvall as well too. And so really what this midfield should be and like the one thing that you should be targeting is a guy, a player like Adam Morton, somebody that literally can break lines in the midfield, somebody that you can actually play off and link up in the midfield. Just somebody that is just a very good high caliber wipeout passer. The reason that one of the things that we absolutely do not have on this club is somebody that can play pinpoint balls through the middle of the park.
The reason I brought this up the main reason, and it is an issue, an important issue. Right, we can fill the other areas, goalkeeper and all that. We know without too much trouble. But here you've got 10 midfielders. Right?
Let me see. You got Bentancur here twice.
Have I? All right. Let me take him off.
Yeah, you don't have Bergvall or Gallagher in there, and you can take off Kulusevski until he's actually back.
I could see us offloading Bentancur. I'll be honest. I could see Bentancur
I can too.
leaving.
Right, let's save it again and bring it up. This is when you make these shows up. So you got Gray, Bergvall, Sarr, Polina, 4.
I can see us getting rid of Sarr.
6.
Although I think Sarr
7,
stays.
8, 9. There's 10. If we bring in 2 midfielders and we go down to 8, we've got to get rid of 4 of these. 4 of these have got to go. If you're looking at bringing in 2 midfielders in, right?
No, Polina's going to be gone.
And
Polina's going to be gone, and Basuma's going to be gone. So that's 2.
Yeah.
That's 2. All right. Yeah, Polina and Basuma are gone.
If you put Kula on the wing with Kulas, that's 3. So if he's going to be fighting for a place on the wing, because he's not really a number 10, Kulusevski. Don't care what you say. He hasn't got that play through ball that like Xavi's got or Madison has got, right? So if you put Kula on the wing, get rid of Polina and Basuma, that's 3. You've still got to get rid of one of these. If you think we need to bring 2 midfielders in, you might think we only bring 1 in. But I think we could do is freshen it up. I mean, like, then you're probably looking at these Sarr or Bentancur.
Right. So Polina and Basuma are probably going to be gone. That's 2. Kulusevski until he's actually back. And we have no idea when that's back. He like as of right now, that's 3. And so you would probably assume that Sarr is going to be the odd man out on this one, especially if you're bringing in yet another, another 8. And so from that standpoint, that's kind of where you can improve on that in the midfield. And so from that standpoint, there's your 4 right there. Me personally, it's like until Gray is 100% ready to step into that position, you kind of have to keep some backup, which is why Bentancur kind of plays a role, at least for next season. And then from that standpoint, you have Gallagher and Bergvall. But that being said, you probably you could potentially improve on that spot right there, which is where an Adam Wharton potentially comes in, or even a McKennie.
I've got the suggested midfielders coming up in a minute, and you can add to them as well because, like, I can't read it was mine. So we're saying Polina and Basuma definitely Polina doesn't get signed. That upsets some Spurs fans, but we've got to move on. You know, I mean, we get emotionally attacked with players. I mean, if Polina stays, if De Zerbi likes him, I ain't got an issue with it. Yeah. But we're just trying to think who will go. I mean, Basuma, he can go. He can go tomorrow, as far as I'm concerned, right? I mean, Kulu, I think he's going to double up on the wing because it will save the club going to get a right winger, right? And then so we're thinking it's Bentancur and Sarr. Okay, I've got some midfielders for you, right? A couple of them are young. And Vermeeren's in there because he's at Marseille and rumour is De Zerbi wants him, right? Now, you know about Aklouche, midfield come wing. We know about Wharton, Kimmich, 6, good player. João Neves, I like to put João up because there's other Neves in that. Scott's at Brentford. Anderson's at Forest. Garner's at Everton. Then there's 2 kids. Nathan De Cat, I think he's at Bruges. And Keys Smith's at, I don't know if he's at PSV Ajax. Well, he's one of the top clubs in Holland anyway, right? So I can't remember. So if we were bringing in 2 midfielders, who's realistic out of these guys do you think they're bringing in? Unless you've got others in mind, of course, bring them up.
Yeah.
I actually heard Akliusha might be linked to Liverpool.
I heard that too. But isn't Akliusha a right winger? Isn't he primarily used on the right side, higher up the pitch?
Yeah, or more attacking midfielder, come winger. The way he played against us, it was sort of central and to the right, wasn't he, when he was attacking? Yeah.
The 3 names on this list that I am very high on are Adam Wharton, Anderson, and Kreese Smith. Kreese Smith is a younger version, but that dude can play the 10 or the 8, and his passing ability is unbelievable even at this stage. I would love to have Kreese, but that being said, you already have You already have Lucas Bergvall already through the door, and so I don't know exactly how that's going to work out.
We have Williams Barnett as well,
and we have Williams Barnett as well,
Alessesi as well, you know,
and Alessesi as well too. But that being said, it's like a name that I wouldn't mind seeing on this list, and I think he's definitely deserved an opportunity to move up, potentially get a big move. Is a gentleman that plays for Juventus right now, and he's been literally one of the best players in Serie A over the course of the last couple of months, and that is Weston. I think he's been on fire with Juve right now. But that being said, I think he's going to stay at Juve. But that being said, he's also somebody that can facilitate multiple positions, and that dude is an automatic. Dude's an automatic assist and a goal scorer as well too, if you need him. So from that standpoint, it's a good shout. Although I highly doubt that's going to happen. But from that standpoint, what I will say is that if you're going to stay in the Premier League, and there's definitely options here, it would probably be Adam Morton or Anderson. And I don't think you can go wrong with either of those two guys. Both of those guys are world-class midfielders. And they automatically help this team.
I mean, I know he likes Vermeeren, and he was
Vermeeren's good too.
Vermeeren, he likes him, so he might be a go getter. I mean, he's only 20 though, 2021, but deserves.
See, I think Morton's going to go to someplace like Manchester United or something like that, because they have European football next season. He's like Yan Diamande that everyone would really want, like an Adam Morton. You know, you can't go wrong with an Adam Morton.
Yeah, I'm thinking we should also. I think players that were with deserve either. I don't know about so much Shakhtar Donetsk now, but at Sassuolo, he was there 3 years, and some of them would have moved on. I mean, he'll have pulling play on some players. You know, some players like ex-managers, don't they? They feel more secure with an ex-manager than they do at other. So, or they might feel there's more love there. You know, so. Yeah, I mean, but saying the problem we have got to get rid of midfielders. I mean, so this is the issue, and so it's a fan. Yeah, so I mean, I think we need 5 signings minimum. I put 3 out because I know we know what the 3 priorities are: goalkeeper, striker, left winger. Now, if we've got 5 spaces, you know, you bring those 3 in. You could bring Mikey Moore. I think Mikey Moore and Vaskovic got to be part of the squad next season.
100%.
And we're talking striker, you bring Lancashire in as well. Now, I'm not sure. Vaskovic, I'm not sure now. Oh, I can't think now. It's like of the qualifying. And there, Mikey Moore's under 21, isn't he? So is Vaskovic. So Mikey Moore has been with the Spurs quite a while. So I'm not sure if he would count as a reserve. I'm not sure if Vaskovic does, because he's not been with us for even a season, has he? So, and then you've got Lancashire again. Don't know how old Will is actually.
He had like 10 or 11 goals or something like that for.
Yeah, he's got 10 for Oxford at the moment.
Oxford.
Not sure Donnelly's there as well. So I'm thinking the same thing. If you're going to make a pathway for these players, how many can you add to the squad which don't affect the numbers because they're reserve players?
Two really, which is Mikey Moore and Vuskovic, right? Outside of that, you know, Jamie Donnelly isn't going to break into this first team, and neither is Alfie Devine. I can't see those two breaking in. I guess maybe Williams, Barnett, and Olasese, because they're here right now, and so they potentially have the upper hand because they're in training with the first team already, and so they, because of that, they have the opportunity to actually shine a little bit.
Yeah, and even with Tyrus and Don, I mean, I think what will be revealing is like what academy players go on the preseason to and how well they do. We know that Saul smashed it preseason last year, and then Frank dropped him a few games. But I mean,
no reason at all.
Yeah, no logical reason at all. But so I think we need to make the spaces, and we need to make, because if we're going to bring and I want Lancashire brought into the side as a striker, myself personally, as well as
Mhm.
more Vasquez. Those three as the minimum. If you're going to bring them in, they've got to have game time. You can't just bring them in as numbers. You can't have them sitting on the bench. You've got to have the belief that they can do it. I believe all three can. I think Vasquez has done enough. Mikey Moore's done enough. And Lancashire, all right, he blotted his copybook. Well, he scored against Galatasaray and got sent off, didn't he? But I mean, like in Europe. But I think, well, I remember Van der Vaart saying, "Oh, Harry Kane, shit," right? And then Sherman gives him his debut, you know, and the rest is history. It's been like what,
Right.
12 years now, something 500 plus goals, one season wonder.
He's on. He may very well get the Ballon d'Or this year.
Yeah, only because he's in Europe. They very rarely get to
Yeah,
play an English
Dude,
player. Anyway, gets it.
Dude, he's just a flaming pile of dog shit. You know,
Yeah.
Ballon d'Or.
Mm.
Yeah.
I'm going to go for the chat, but in the chat, how many signings do you think? I think we need a minimum of 5. We're going to add to the midfield. It's got to be 5.
I'd replace like a lot of these players.
Yeah, and well,
We need like a minimum 6, if not more than that, right? Like it really does need to have an overhaul, and it's not necessarily even about. It's not about how much money we spend. It really comes down to the wages. Realistically, it's goalkeeper, left-sided center back to back up Van de Ven, potentially thinking about replacing Udogie on the left-hand side, or if not, bring another left back to compete with them, another midfielder, preferably somebody that's a good passer, 2 left wingers, a striker, a right wing as well too. You're looking, you're.
but then
literally looking
you
at-
got decision. What I didn't give another player who's got to go is Dragerson, right? So he'd free up space.
Yeah.
But so, I mean, when you start talking big numbers, you then got to get down to right. Well, now you're getting down to players. You think, oh, I want them as well. Now you're talking about having a bigger squad. You can have a bigger squad. You can if the academy players don't affect that 25. I mean, like you've got. Well, let's go back to the injured list.
Realistically, we should go into next season with a squad size of like 30 plus because of this team and its injury history. We actually need to actually have depth finally on this team.
Right.
That being said, I will add that if we get an offer for James Madison, I'm taking it, and I have reasons for that.
No,
I am, because you're talking about a 30-year-old center attacking midfield coming off ACL surgery. Like, there's a good chance that his speed and his flair doesn't recover. Whereas if he was 25, it's a completely different story.
I don't think you get a lot of money for him anyway. I think you keep him. There's 20 here, right? There's 20 here, and that's without these 8. So there's 28. Right? Madison Odegaard will stay. I mean, like, we know. But we
don't know how he's going to be after an ACL tear.
Oh, he'd be all
right. Right. Like, if he was 25, we're not having this conversation, but he's 30. And he's on the wrong side for an ACL tear. And so from that standpoint, if there's a team out there that wants to take a flyer and gives us 25 million for him, I'm taking it. Because we can actually do a little bit better in that position.
That probably makes sense, but he loves London, loves the club. What's the length of his contract? Get his contract up. I don't think Madison would leave anyway. And I think he's got to have at least a couple of years to go.
If we go down, I'm definitely keeping him.
All right. Okay. I'm going to go through the chat, see what they got to say.
By the way, that change, like going down, changes everything for me.
Oh, yeah.
Tara, you've been very positive tonight. I've been looking at your comments, mate. All right,
yeah, that's one way of saying it, right? Positive.
Listen, he's got to survive pre-season first, you know what I mean?
So James Madison, let's see, signed a 5-year deal in June of 2023, and he's getting, 8.8 annually, and this contract runs through the 27-28.
So he's got 2 seasons to go. He ain't going nowhere. I don't think Madison won't leave now. He's not going to want to start somewhere else at another club. This is one attraction of his club. It's like a 5-star hotel, isn't it? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
With IKEA furniture. If we who's this stateside footy guy? You must be on if you think it doesn't help this club. Okay, there's no USA bias there at all whatsoever.
Troy Parrott, yes.
No,
He's
it's
killing-
you know what's funny
he's
is it's like the anti-American, like it's funny because it's like there you go. At least you're honest about it.
Yeah.
At least you're honest about the fact that you might have been smoking weed or doing coke, one of the two.
Why didn't this? That
Was it not going down anymore?
It's just my mouse. Not. Hang on. Oh, okay. I was just.
No, I mean it's like dude has played for like the 3 of the biggest clubs in Europe, and there's a reason why he's been playing at those clubs because he's not shit.
Yeah.
Danny Welbeck. I mean, that's not a bad shout out.
By the way, Danny Welbeck has 10 goals this season, but that being said, it's like, granted, that's a good season, but what I will say is like, if you're asking me between Danny Welbeck and Igor Thiago, I'm taking Thiago 10 times out of 10.
Yeah, I mean, they don't seem to be. I mean, where's all the exciting talent? I mean, there's got to be. We'll probably see some in the World Cup, right? But by then, you want to get your transfers done before then, because the transfer window starts. Actually, I've got the banners up. They overlap. I've got them somewhere. You know me and my banners. So, where are we? Let's go back. I've got all the players. Right, okay. You've got the World Cups from the 11th to the 19th of June, right? 5.5 weeks, 38 days. But look at that 11th of June date to the 19th. The transfer window starts on the 15th of June, 4 days later. So they overlap. I mean, this is where this club needs to get its fucking arse into gear, right? Because we need to get signings in, not wait to see who does well in the World Cup and all that. If Lane comes out of that, he can go. I mean, well, he can go anyway now.
We need to have a list now, and we need to get that done.
De Zerbi will. I've got confidence that De Zerbi will. I mean, and I've got confidence that his man management style will lift the players, and I've got more. We'll get a bounce off of De Zerbi rather than a thud off of Frank or Tudor. You know what I mean? Right?
Yeah.
So like, we'll get some bounce. Where's the comments? Paul Brown. Paul's. What we got here? Exactly, Paul. No one's arguing that exactly.
Yeah,
this club's been since 2019 when that stadium opened, when Poch wasn't back for 580 days, the rot set in. He changed all the expectations of the club, got us regular European football, Champions League football, and then the board or Levy, I think it was both, didn't want to put some money back into this club after seeing their asset rise in value exponentially from the price they paid for it. They didn't want to put nothing back into the club. And this is where we are. And now they're saying they're putting money back in. And then they said, oh, there's money to put in the club. There was 100-odd million. Plus, we were supposed to have had 70 million to go for Slovenia before the 100 million. So you'd have thought, coming up to January, we got 170 million to spend, and we spent sweet FA.
Yeah.
And if we get relegated, that Kieran Maguire estimated it would cost this football club about 150 or 60 million. We can ride it because we've got all these other events and all this. It's still going to hurt. Players' wages will be halved. Maybe some will come, some won't.
Interesting. Austin feels like a hostage.
Austin loves it. He was under 21 goalkeeper. He's 26, 27 now. I think he's one of those quite happy to take the wages. He's not bad. He's not a bad goalkeeper. He's just not top notch.
I would say for the most part, some of our loans are pretty good, except for Yang.
I don't even know what happened to.
He's with Coventry.
Yeah, he's at Coventry. Ashley Phillips is up for Player of the Year in the Championship. Like I say, Lancashire scored 10 goals for Oxford, who are really struggling. So on a good side, with better service, he'd do even better. Even Mason Mealy has started to score for the under-21s, and the new kid Wilson we got from Scotland as well. But I think Lancashire should be part of this squad next year. And what I've seen of strikers in the Premiership, and I don't watch too many teams. I mean, apart from Haaland, and that, who's a freak, you know, there isn't, there ain't that many great strikers out there.
Again, I think there are a lot of ones that went to the Saudi league that we sort of just disappeared. We never hear from them again.
Yeah, and like you alluded to earlier, my only issue with bringing them back is like they went to Saudi for the money. What sort of ambition does that show? You know, I mean, like it
could work to our advantage because if we pay enough money, they would come.
Yeah,
it shows that they're taking care of their family for life.
Yeah,
well, that's another point. That's a good point. You know.
Yeah, that's the only reason why you go.
He's been doing well in there. If they sell him on, we got 20% of the transfer fee, but we let him go. Bear in mind, Kane and Son were at that time, though. So, like, you know,
yeah,
you have to look at the situation.
And no one was supplanting.
Comments. No, I don't. Look, I just look. I'm rather having Lancashire than an old player like Welbeck. It's about time, like, you know, we give academy players a go. There's a few of them. I mean, Gary Ward knows which one's a bit more oven ready than others. But I mean, I would definitely. I mean, yeah. I mean, it's a no-brainer. Bring Vuskovic in and Ricky Moore and Lancashire, in my opinion, as well. I think it's time he should be given some game time in the Premier League. With the service, he'll score goals. He is a finisher. He's a finisher. The kid's a finisher. Just going through the chat, guys. You guys got any questions? Because I haven't got much else.
So, what do you guys? How do you guys see this one playing out on Sunday?
I'm going for a 3-1 Spurs win.
Interesting.
I think it's going to be a tough game. I think it's going to be a tough game.
One of the teams that comes up always surprises you, and Sunderland have been it this year. And then I think as it got through the season, it's gradually caught up with them. I know they did have a lot of players away in the African nations, didn't they? And I think that might have probably affected their results a bit. So they've done brilliantly. I mean, their fans would have been pleased that they just stayed up.
Oh, yeah.
Xhaka's been outstanding for them.
Yep.
We got a couple. I don't know, Dennis Sirkin and Raymonde or something. I think we got two of their ex-players are playing for them. Hayden Heck, that's an interesting one. Everyone's sort of like, shall we, shan't we? I mean, Ipswich offered 20 mil for him. Middlesbrough accepted it. Hackney didn't want to go. He thought Spurs were coming in for him. We've ummed and ahed. Everyone's ummed and ahed over Hayden Hackney. I don't know why. To be honest, I haven't watched a lot of him. If it gained solid gravitas, I'd have, sent you videos of him. But
I like what Sunderland did, man. They didn't necessarily go for the sexy flutter player. They went with physicality and athleticism, and it paid off. What I will say is that I actually agree with Alan down there. I do think that I think it's going to be a tough game because that team is physical and they do play hard for a full 90. And just when we saw it at the stadium earlier, where if you're not careful, they will score on you. And so from that standpoint, I actually predicted a 2-2 draw. One of the things that I want to see is this team just play hard for a full 90. None of this half on garbage. Where we essentially saw throughout the course of the entire season. It's time for this team to put down a marker and pick up where they left off. When they went to Anfield and got a result there. If they're capable of doing it there, they're capable of doing it here. What I will say is that I just want to see this team play with a little bit more passion. And I think that if they've responded to De Zerbi, we will see it. That being said, I can see a 2-2 draw, and I think that would be a very good result. More often, like at the end of the day, I want to see 10 plus shots on net, and I want to see a couple of goals. That would be a good start for this team.
Yeah. I mean, we all want to see the fight and all that. I think the more I look at these players,
Be brave.
just being risk averse, playing square pegs in round holes, and also think players being constrained from playing their game. I mean, to me, logically, if you bring a player in, you bring him in because you like what you see, and you let him play to his strengths. Once you bring him in, you don't constrain him. What's the point? That's not what you bought the player for. It's not. And this is modern coaching. I think is absolute crap. Must be. Sorry, Gary, if you're watching, mate. I'm not including you, Gary Ward and Project Spurs. Go over there, guys. They've got a great channel as well.
Yeah, Gary's awesome.
Yeah, and why aren't there any great strikers out there? Well, why? I mean, if you went back to the days when we had even Adebayo and all that, we had 4 strikers at the club. Why? Because everyone played 2 up front. Now strikers become a bit of a dying breed because most clubs play 1 striker up front. And that's become the system. So it's changed. I think if someone reverted to the 2, now, admittedly, we played 4-4-2, didn't we, against Atletico, and it worked. And then at Forest, and then the battering ram didn't work. Well, okay, it didn't work at half time. Change it. But we didn't change it because it was crying out for Richie to go out on the left because it wasn't working because we had no width. We only had Tell as a one width player doing something. That's why I think we might see Richie on the left tomorrow. It's Sunday, sorry. Getting ahead of it. I didn't have in January yet and going off it. Yeah. Oh, the Boulder crap. They're clueless. This is why they need to let De Zerbi and others who know football to run the club, right? Yeah. If the shit goes wrong, I don't mind Butcher and Charrington, like Nick Butcher and Charrington coming in saying, right, he's got to go if the board aren't doing their job, right? I don't mind that. But at least get footballing people in, let them do it. If they've got a budget and sales, a budget plus any player sales, let them deal with it. If they fail, kick them out. Get a new lot in, right? But this club run like an absolute shambles. Yeah, I looked at a report the other day. It said something like we spent, I think it was in 5 years. It might have been a little bit longer. It wasn't going back to when the stadium. It was $1 billion on something like 43 players, right? So I did the maths. That was £24 million a player, right? Well, there might have been a couple of 50 whatever players in there and all that, but that, you're looking at probably in that group was probably NG and Nkudu and Joe Roden, and players like that. I mean, like, if you're going to compete and be a big club, you've got to pay the wages and the transfer fee, haven't you? The ball, do not deserve De Zerbi. Yeah, that joke's been going on. Do we deserve De Zerbi? I'll put that up. Yeah. Yeah. How are you guys going to feel when Mason Greenwood pulls on this? Yeah, Mason Greenwood's not coming to Spurs, right? They just wouldn't have it. We got De Zerbi. Everything around him has been cleared. Right, so we need to get behind the manager and the team for the rest of the season and see where we end up. And hopefully, what's your score for tomorrow, Sunday, Al?
I think I agree with Steve. I think I'm going to go 2-2. I think it'll be hard fought. It's I don't know what to make of De Zerbi yet as our. I mean, I'm happy with him as our coach. I just don't know how our guys are going to look under him, and it's hard. And Sunderland is going to be a very physical, tough game. So I think if we put out a lot of fight, I just don't have a lot of faith in our goalie at the who's going to go into goal and so I think it'll be
get behind Tony. Get behind Tony.
Do
Tony needs our support.
Yeah. Do you think that we will actually get a bounce off of De Zerbi in these 7 games? Right? I hope so. I mean, Frank didn't inspire me in his talks at all. When I first heard him speak, I thought, you're not a man management player. Tudor, I did like quite a few things what Tudor said, but I just think if he was going to do well, he needed to come in after we lost to West Ham, and they should have sacked Frank a lot earlier.
Right.
I've liked what De Zerbi has said. He's been really good. He speaks well. For English isn't his first language. He speaks well. Even though he had the translator there, he still, he speaks well, and he said, I think, the right things. Talking about the fans and how the fans have been suffering. We deserve better play, better everything. And he only wants people that want to be in the club with him. He's not interested in people that aren't interested in staying at the club.
Yeah.
And
Might
having
sign
courage.
on.
Well, what I like is, what De Zerbi said. He said, I want to keep the ball. I want to see, again, the Tottenham I watched with Postecoglou, because in my second season in Brighton, there was Postecoglou here with a lot of these players, and it was one of the best teams in terms of quality play. I was like, oh, that's nice. I'm hoping that we get a bounce, but again, I just want to see bravery with this team, because I know that this team is capable. And if this team dares to get forward and try things, and even if, even if for whatever reason it leads to it over the top and we score, somebody else scores, whatever, man, just shake it off and continue to get forward and continue to put on pressure, because at the end of the day, Adrian, you said it before, like, there is talent on this team, and we know this team is definitely capable of putting up crooked numbers, because we just saw it over the course of the last couple seasons under Postecoglou. And so that there is quality here. It's just unlocking it. And the question is, does De Zerbi have the key to unlock it? Everything suggests that he's said all the right things, and apparently everything looks good in training. So we'll see. But a good result in my book, at least to start, would be a 2-2 draw, and just get those positive vibes going, because then we get Brighton, which is a beatable team, and then we get Leeds, and who knows, maybe we have 7. Maybe there's 7 points at the end of these 3 before we get Aston Villa. So.
Yeah, maybe we've come through the perfect storm of injuries. I know Kudus is injured, but he wasn't available anyway. And the fact is, like, apart from our injury crisis, which is like been unbelievable, never known anything like it, right? Apart from the injury crisis, what's compounded that? And you've had to play the same players without giving them a rest. We know that Kula and Porro have played so many games before they both got injured eventually, right? So we know that's been part of the problem as well. Maybe players have been playing more than when they needed to be rested as well. Then there's been the risk of more injuries when they do that. So, it's this, and then poor management as well. It's a combination of lots of things. This is Steve's link to his channel, guys. The 8 of you watching us on various platforms, get over there, give his videos a thumbs up. Steve does lots of content, covers the MSL and everything else. He'll be covering the World Cup and all that.
MLS.
Yeah. You can find Alan here at Team Tottenham Go. He's get over and give his videos a thumbs up. When he makes a rare appearance and makes one.
Yes.
When you get over there at Team Tottenham, I've got it on 10 seconds. No, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter now anyway. So, we've been going for nearly 2 hours, guys. We've probably gone on about 10 or 15 minutes, a bit longer than we should have, but yeah, I mean, it's been good. It's been good. Good to have you guys on, the regulars on a Friday. Have you got any last comments, either of you? I've gone for the win. You two have gone for the draw. I always go for the win, though.
Well, I think it's time. It's time to stop messing around, and it's time to actually play Tottenham Hotspur football. It's been long enough, man. We've been through absolute hell last year. At least there was a trophy at the end of last year, so there was something to celebrate. But this year has been absolutely disastrous, and it's time to get back to what we do best, which is getting forward, being brave, and scoring goals, and actually getting on the winning side of things. So let's get to that, and let's get these fans behind this team for the remaining 7 games, and let's build some momentum into the summer.
Yeah,
we could do their first win in 2026, Al.
That would be very nice. Look, I would love a win. Of course, I would love a win. I think we would all love a win.
Is that asking so much? God damn it!
I know, right?
It's not, is it?
Just
right. Right,
like
guys.
Sunderland are beatable. We just
they'll
have to put in
beatable.
the effort.
They're not a super team or nothing like that. They've got very good home record, though. I think they've lost their last 3 there or something like that. Yeah, so their form's dipped, right? Yeah, I mean, I'll just check the comments. Big up, Joe. Oh, we got it. Ryan's here.
What's up? El Tel Cockerel.
What's up,
I
Jose?
hope you're doing well, Jose.
You should. I told him to hang up his boots when we met at the stadium. He said, "I love football. I'm not giving up my football." He bit at me, Jose did. Big up, Jose. So he'll probably be there for the Brighton game. Oh, yeah. Well, let's get Sunderland out of the way first. Right.
Yep.
There's 8 of you watching us on various platforms, which is fantastic. And we really do appreciate your support here. Like I've said earlier, if you haven't subscribed to the channel, all you've got to do is hit that little subscribe button down the bottom right corner, that red button. Go there, subscribe to the channel, give the video a thumbs up, because it all helps the algorithm, helps us to bring you the content, and all that. Get over to Steve and Alan's channels as well. Give the videos a thumbs up and subscribe as well. A big up to everyone in the chat. Thank you all for your comments. It's been good. I mean, I know it's been probably a bit more negative than positive, but I understand that. We understand why. I'm flying the flag for a win on Sunday. And big up to Steve and Alan. They'll be with us again next week, to celebrate 2 wins, hopefully, by then.
Hopefully.
Hopefully.
Fighting during the week. I haven't looked that far ahead. I know we've got them next after Sunderland, but yeah. So, thanks again. Thank you all for your support on various platforms. And with that, I'm going to end the stream and play you out the piece of music I wrote.
We are tough until we die. We are tough until we die. Spurs die hard, heart and soul. We are tough until we die. We are tough until we die. Spurs die hard and soul. We are tough until we die. We are tough until we die. Spurs die hard and soul. Lily white and navy blue. Until we die, we are tough until we die. Spurs die hard, heart and soul. Lily white and navy blue. Tough until we die, we are tough until we die. Spurs die hard, heart and soul. We are tough until we die, we are tough until we die. Spurs die hard, heart and soul. We are tough until we die, we are tough until we die. Spurs die hard, heart and soul. Lily white and navy blue. We are tough until we die. We are tough until we die. Spurs die hard, heart and soul. Lily white and navy blue. We are tough until we die. We are tough until we die. Spurs die hard, heart and soul. Lily white and